light some incense, and I forgot to pull the incense out. How are you all? How are you all doing? Well, this was completely impromptu. I'm supposed to be doing other stuff. Why not procrastinate? Why not talk to a bunch of people who I've never met live? And let's see where the chat is. Hello everybody. I'm going to wait for a few more people to arrive because nobody knew I was doing this, not even my admins. So I tend to get inspired with what I talk about by my daily musings, my own observations on life. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you? You're procrastinating too, Campbell. Yeah, it's like let's just pile on some more videos instead of doing the things I'm supposed to be doing. I've got a lot of stuff to do, and I had a child-free evening, so I was like, okay, talking to a few friends, and everyone seems to be going through the same thing. So I thought, there's something in the energy, something's going on. Bang, bang. Is everyone getting triggered? Yeah, thanks, Kirsty. Kirsty? Yeah, you love Gigi. I do too. She's a really good friend of mine. I'm getting tingling over my head. Hello, Alison. How are you? It's good to see you too. How are you, my sweetie? And Glamourine Patrick. I love that name. So, yes, this is a nice surprise. I just thought I'd do this. I'm sitting somewhere different now on the other side of the table. I won't show you around my apartment. I don't want to show you too much stuff. Do you like my necklace? This is a one-off. This is an antique plate. No shit. Check that out. It's a French plate. Le Manger, I think. Le Manger, France. Francais, yes. This is that. And this is from the edge of the plate. How cool is that? So there's a guy up here who makes jewellery out of antique plates. And so let's have a look. What are we doing? So today I thought I'll do an energy check. A few things going on. Everyone seems to be getting triggered. So something's happening. The family members or friends or loved ones or ex-boyfriends or whatever seem to be triggering everyone. There's things going on, and I just wanted to see how you're all feeling. There was a couple of things that I watched. I think this morning I saw an astrology thing about, I think it was a Jupiter in retrograde or something like that. There's a couple of planets going in retrograde, and she said that the 28th, or around this time, everyone's going to start to feel all these emotions coming up. And it seemed that it was true, because from what I was hearing from friends and things like that, and what they've been experiencing, everyone seems to be getting the people around them triggering and pushing their buttons, and there seem to be old patterns sort of popping up for everyone. So what does that mean? And I just sort of wanted to touch base with all of you. And I had to think about it just listening to my friends talk, because I sort of try and put myself in their place, and I try and put myself in the place of the person that's triggering them. Hey Hums, how you going? You woke up a little grumpy this morning. And I realised that what's happening is because things are shifting so quickly. So let's go through a few things that are happening on the other realms that you can't see, but people who are seers and shamans and psychics can see these other things, and then we'll talk about what's happening in everyone's day-to-day life. So just from my perspective as a person who has an awareness of multidimensional realities, I've been a bit shocked lately from what I'm seeing in the etheric realms and other sort of dimensions. Very shocked from what I've seen. What I'm seeing and what I'm sensing from my trees, I go out and I talk to my tree as well, and I sort of get the lowdown on what's happening. We already know there's a war going on, okay, and we always say it's amping up and stuff like that, but I can't begin to tell you just how full on it is in these etheric realms. There's this Bear. Quiet Bear works with animal spirits. And as such, he sort of, when he works with you, he sort of assigns these animal spirits to you. Well, I went to check in, and usually this sort of peaceful scene that I see, there was a war going on, okay? And there was this sort of sanctuary that I normally see was being overrun by demonic entities, and these animals were just going head to head and attacking these really dark sort of entities. So there's a real battle going on between light and dark in these other realms. And so as above, so below, this is what's going on. And so we might not be seeing necessarily a war in front of us, but what you'll see is an internal war going on. Somebody asked me the other day to explain what it means by the light is coming. Some people see this as a literal thing, as in light is actually coming in and there's going to be an event. And others see it as a metaphor, and I kind of see it as both. I think that we won't necessarily remember a flash of light, but I believe that it is an illumination of knowledge. I think it's light as in an awareness. It's an awareness that comes up in us, and it's everything coming to the surface. Last year in May, I think I put a video out, and I think it was titled "All Truths Will Be Revealed" or something to that effect. I have no doubt in my mind that at this point, what the dark is afraid of the most, what the covens are afraid of, what the government is afraid of, anything that is working for the dark or operating from a darker perspective and wanting to control and keep people locked in and down in the lowest timeline, is they're afraid that we're going to discover who we are, and we're going to be illuminated, and we're going to be aware of everything. We're going to have that sort of awareness of what's going on around us. And this waking up process happens in various stages. And so right now, what's happening right now is we're all getting triggered. Last few days, those people around you who might not be as aware as you of certain things, might not be as awake, maybe family members, they're pushing your buttons, okay? So Gigi and I talked in our last video about black goo and how most people have programmable matter in them. She says that I don't. She claims that she can't. She's scanned me so many times and she can't see any black goo in me. I don't know. Maybe it gets in through the food. I don't know. Whatever. But you know, most people have some kind of programmable matter in them. And these people who aren't aware of their emotions usually are running on old programs, okay? And so that could be doctors, it could be medical staff when you're going somewhere, or an institution you might have to go to, like a place, a government organisation you have to go and visit, and they're triggering certain things in you like a program. And why is that coming up now? Because what it's doing is it's showing you your old patterns of behaviour. So for example, let's say you're going to a family reunion, or you're going to a party or something like that, and your mum always says the same thing to you, and your usual reaction is it triggers this old thing in you from your childhood, and you're about to blow up in the same way you always did, or you're about to feel that feeling of worthlessness like you always did. Well, that's coming up for a reason, so that you can look at it. And this is what's going to start to happen, okay? I said this a long time ago, that when this shift happens, what's going to happen is we're going to have a whole bunch of healers, and we're going to have a whole bunch of wounded people, walking wounded. And the walking wounded are going to start to really show themselves quite clearly, okay? And if you haven't been working on yourself, and if you haven't been hiding all of these old wounds and these old triggers, they're going to start coming to the surface now, really, really thick and fast. And you're going to get trigger happy, okay? There's going to be a lot happening. Nice, normal, beautiful people are going to start triggering you, okay? There's going to be things that you're going to take personally. So here's my question to you. Do I trigger you? Because I think I'm here to trigger people. Okay, so, people get triggered by my cleavage, people get triggered by my makeup, people get triggered by the fact that I say cunt a lot. And I think that it's probably better to be honest and a person who triggers others so that they can bring this stuff up to the surface rather than just holding it all in like a balloon that's about to pop, okay? Because if it's brewing under the surface, it's going to be exposed sooner or later. And if you don't deal with it now, you're going to be brought to your knees very soon. Something's going to come and force that to be looked at and faced, okay? So that's what my sort of thing I was thinking about today was start to look at what it is that's happening around you. And if somebody is saying, so if you're avoiding your family, for example, okay, because you're like, fuck, they trigger me, I don't want to talk to them because they trigger me, maybe you need to talk to them. Maybe you need to talk to them and face the music, because what's the worst that can happen? Other than the police get called round for a domestic, but something needs to happen because why? You're at a higher level of awareness now than you were 2 years ago, or however long ago it was that you saw your family, and you might surprise yourself. So let's say your dad usually tells you you're worthless and you're never going to amount to anything, and you're bloody working you're working really hard, and you know how much work you've done on yourself, and you know who you are. And your dad comes along and tells you you're worthless, and your usual thing is to cave in and feel that worthlessness and feel resentful and start to feel so emotional, and then you storm out and you want to leave, and then you think, oh my God, he's done it again, and he's brought you back to those teenage years where he used to call you worthless, right? Maybe that's there so that you stop reacting like that. Maybe that's there so that you don't do that thing. So as long as you're aware of what happened to trigger you, you can change that and shift that, is what I'm saying, right? So if you're aware of why they're doing that and why the other person is triggering you and projecting onto you why they're doing that, rather than asking the question, why do they keep doing that to me? They shouldn't be doing that to me. Rather than asking that, just have a think about, maybe it's there as a gift to you to present to you that that's the old way that you're going to react to it, and now let's choose a different way to react, okay? Or not react at all. Does that make sense? Maybe that's the gift, and that's what you should be leaving the gathering, thinking about, rather than crying and going back to that childhood state that's wounded and saying, she doesn't love me or he doesn't love me, why did they do that? Why do they keep speaking to me like that? They shouldn't be speaking to me like that. Or having that thing where there's that estrangement in family and nobody's talking to one another. Rather than doing that, take what they've given you away, knowing that they may never change, and you may never get the answer that you want from them, or you may never get the respect that you want from them. But what is it that they're teaching you so that you react differently? So you change and shift that whole entire reactionary process. Does that make sense? So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm pretty sure my family still thinks I'm like I'm a failure. So they don't know what I do, and they don't have to. And once you reach that point of, I don't need to prove myself to anyone, I don't need to be, I don't need to show everyone who I am. They don't need to understand who you are. As long as you know who you are, and as long as the people that you love and associate with know who you are, and you are aware of who you are, it doesn't matter who your family of origin, what your family of origin think, right? Those old stories and those old programs are just, they're in the past, and they're all conjecture, or they're old memories, right? They're not truth, they're not held in the now moment, and they're not anchoring you in this moment. They're not powerful, and they're not truthful, and they're not from love. They're from a space of fear usually, or from a space of programming. They're old wounds quite often, and usually they are old ancestral wounds that have just been repeated and never been challenged. And so now for you in this time, you need to start challenging these old wounds. You really need to start becoming very aware of yourself and really focusing in on those things that need to be changed. A lot of people enjoy being in their stuckness, okay? They enjoy being stuck, and they would rather toe the line and just keep doing this miserable thing that they do over and over again so that they can maintain that little grip on that balloon that's about to rise to the surface that they're just trying to hold on to, okay? And they don't want things to change. And they don't, and unfortunately the light is coming, okay? And so it's going to expose all of this stuff that they're trying to hold down, and they're going to have to change and step up, okay? So that's pretty much what's happening at the moment. Does everybody relate to that? Hippie Shake 29, I never see you. I don't know why I can't see you in my chat. I see everyone saying hello, Hippie Shake, and then I can't see you in my chat. I'm so sorry. Does everybody understand what I've been saying, and does this sort of resonate? My mum finally realised I'm not crazy at 59. She's seen the truth. That's great. That's wonderful. I think the most empowering thing, so everybody's relating to this, yeah? Is anyone getting triggered lately? Are you having a really emotional day? Are you kind of feeling this heaviness? Are you feeling like, things are just sort of, old things are coming back to haunt you, or old sort of programming is coming back to haunt you a little bit? Emotional month. Yep. Well, I didn't get triggered today by anything, I don't think, but I just observed that in others. I have these moments where something rises to the surface. See, every time you challenge this stuff, okay, so let's say there's something that's still not resolved in a relationship, and it just keeps coming up, and you there's that little insecure part of you going, why is that happening? And every time that rises up, I challenge it. And so it gets less and less. And that little voice, that little me voice, gets less and less powerful, right? So the trick is that you have to challenge that little part of you. You have to challenge that little voice rather than letting that take over the show. Does that make sense? So, so if you've got this little, most of us have this little child that's running the show inside of us. It's this little child that's throwing this temper tantrum. Why won't anyone listen to me? Or, I want respect, or no, don't leave me. That kind of childish sort of smaller version of you quite often takes over the show, right? And you've got to challenge that voice. You really do. You have to challenge that. You have to be aware of it, and you have to challenge that, because it's actually not truth. It's a wounded part of you, and it's a part that lives in a past that is no longer there, and it's based on old memories that are, it's not based in actual fact or reality. It's a past, or it's on a projected future that hasn't happened yet, where you're afraid of letting go, or you're afraid of allowing something to happen that hasn't happened yet. So the only thing you can control is right now, and the only thing you can control is how you react to things, right? So I think that this is something that's going to come up more and more. You're going to see it in other people. And so the strongest thing that you can do for yourself is, how do I react to these things? How do I react? How do I cope when these things come up? One thing I suggested to a friend of mine was that she needed to armor up, even though she loves her family. I'm just like, you've got to treat your family. I said, it's not a defensive thing, but you've really got to shield yourself and just prepare to that these old family triggers are going to happen. These old buttons are going to be pushed. And it's usually when we're caught unaware that this stuff happens, right? It's usually when we're not prepared for that, or we thought better of them. We thought that they would have learned the lesson by now, or they would have had the respect for you by now that they should have had. We thought better that they would have been more loving, or that they would have answered you when you spoke to them, and they didn't do that, you know. So sometimes you just have to really armor up and prepare for the fact that, you know, perhaps these other people are not going to react the way they do. So how do you cope with that? You know, that's the most important thing right now. Hey Joanne, how are you? Super important right now. Thank you for sharing. Yes, and I'm just seeing it more and more. I'm seeing these triggers are happening more and more, because it's not that the world around us is getting worse. It's just that this light is coming, as in it's illuminating the things that were already there that need to be healed. And it's happening quicker, it's happening faster, and these things are coming more to the surface, and the more we're aware of them, the more we have to face them. And us as the people who are working on ourselves, who claim that we are very aware and that we are more awakened, or we have a higher emotional intelligence, we really do need to take charge of how we react to the people around us and to these triggers, right? So yes, okay, I can't, Hibishek, I can't see you in my chat. I haven't for months and months. I don't know why. Right, let's have a look. Somebody's saying, yes, my in-laws trigger me. That will be the first time for monkeypox vaccine. Yeah, see, so these are the things that we have to we have to challenge. But I'm talking more about these one-on-one relationships. A lot of mother-daughter, you know, father-daughter, father-son, mother-son sort of relationships. There's a lot of things being triggered there, okay? Old wounds keep coming up. Things that you can't hide from anymore. You just can't. They're there for a reason. Why are these people appearing in your life again? They're there for a reason, you know. They're there it's going to keep repeating that pattern until you get it and you challenge the way you react to that. So I'm going to use this as an example. I hope my friend doesn't mind. I'm not going to mention any names, but so let's say a person had an interaction with their mother, and their mother sort of started having a rant and putting them down. You will never amount to anything. You're hopeless. You're worthless. You should have done better, blah, 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 and just dumping a whole heap of stuff on their daughter or their son, right? And then the person, the daughter or the son, reacts in this absolutely traumatized way, and is left feeling absolutely drained of energy and feeling as though they are worthless, they do amount to nothing. But why are they doing this to me? Why are they still doing this to me? Don't they know what I do? Don't they know what I do for them? Don't they know how much I love them? Don't they know all the stuff? I should be acknowledged for all the stuff that I do for them, right? So let's look at the person saying the stuff, okay? So let's look at the parent who's ranting and projecting all of this stuff onto them. Now we can just say, oh, well, that person's got an attachment and they're full of AI and that's why they're reacting. Or they've had the vax and that's why they're reacting like that. Well, hang on, let's look at the old wound here, okay? That person might be in absolute state of fear, and that the only way that they're going to feel a sense of control over their child, because they're afraid that their child's going to move and leave them alone, like they're reliant on their child to help them, is by putting them down. So this is an old program, right? It's an old pattern where in that parent's life, they watched and observed others doing this, that in order to control the person they need to control, they need to put them down, right? So that's an old pattern for that person, right? And so they need to project guilt onto the person they need to control. And if the person receiving that message is still operating in that program of guilt, then nothing's been changed here, right? So my suggestion is that you, as the aware person, instead of standing there waiting for the other person to change, you need to change the program that's reacting to that, okay? You need to change that and be aware of what's triggering, okay? So put yourself in the position of the person triggering you. Ask yourself, why are they projecting this onto me? Because it's usually nothing to do with you. And then if you recognize the pattern that you are recreating, and if that pattern is, for example, that you do cave in and feel guilty when you shouldn't, if you change the way you reacted, that whole entire dynamic will change. That whole entire dynamic will change. Does that make sense? So can anyone think of something like that in their own life? Can you think of anything like that happening in your life? And can you see this stuff coming thick and fast now? We are going to see more and more. We're at that stage now where, and I think we've long been at this stage where it's the I told you so stage, right? I'm starting to see so many family members getting sick. And I'm like, well, you know, I told you about blah, blah, blah. Okay, so there's a lot of people I know, unfortunately, getting really sick and getting cancers and stuff. And I'm like, well, you know, I did tell you about ASEA and I did tell you about, you know, and that I told you so sort of stuff, it's going to be very triggering for both parties, right? So maybe these things are sort of coming up as well for a lot of you, right? I've witnessed a lot of people in my age bracket and a little bit older getting really reactive to their parents. They're seeing their parents are getting older. Their parents are really kind of losing their shit, and you know, maybe it's senility or something, but there's a lot of old wounds being brought up, okay, to the surface. It's not good enough to just do the thing in the old days where, you know, for example, you know, men would come back from war and be what they say was shell shock, okay, which is basically PTSD, and they would just bury themselves in drinking and sort of bury these emotions, and everyone just had these wounds in their families and nobody ever spoke about anything, and then we just carried on these old ancestral wounds. That's long gone. We don't do that anymore, okay? It's time to really bring things up to the surface, and it's time to face them and to armor up as well, yeah? Yes, Campbell, that's right. Everyone is a mirror. We're all mirrors to each other because we are all one. We all come from source. We all, you know, and we're all just playing out these games and these various interactions. So let's have a look. This chat keeps disappearing on my phone. Morning. I haven't been reading the chat, so if you've been chatting away and asking questions, I haven't been looking at that. Thank you, Ivana. Hi, Eric White. How are you going? Haven't seen you for a while. My parents are in their 70s, have said and done things like, oh my God, yes. I mean, you know, they're all doing this. They're all sort of, and they're wounded. And when you see these wounded people who've never, ever dealt with their wounds, the older they get, the more kind of like, wow, did that come out of your mouth, you know? It's and that lack of self-awareness makes it really glaringly obvious. So we need to start seeing these people in our lives rather than going, I want them to wake up. Maybe they'll never wake up, but maybe they're there to serve you a purpose, in that they're going to trigger things in you. You recognize these old programs, right? And you shift them and end them. And some people say, well, this is the ending of ancestral wounds, but maybe that was the plan all along. Maybe somewhere up there, their higher self got together with your higher self and said, hey, I'm going to play the role of the idiot that doesn't get it, and I'm going to trigger you, and you're going to be like, why did you do that? Okay, so do you understand what I'm saying? It's like sometimes the most unevolved person that you see in your life might be the most evolved, because they're triggering you to trigger your ascension, to trigger your journey, your soul journey. And that's the nature of our reality. That's what this is all about, okay? And so that's what we're here to do. We're here to trigger each other. So I trigger everyone on a massive scale. Do you want to see my cleavage? It's like, that's like a big topic, okay? I don't know why that triggers people, but hey. So let's see, family members are really taking the hit right now, yeah. So my suggestion to all of you would be, Tanya Smith, no, come on, Tanya, I know you do, you want to. My suggestion to all of you would be, if somebody's coming at you like that, rather than being the victim and going, why are they doing this to me? Put yourself in their position and just for a second and have a think about what they might be feeling. And if you're really good at this, you might want to even do a meditation and really pretend you're them and feel what it is to be them. And I've done this before, and once unwillingly, like it just happened, a friend of mine, I sort of tapped into her husband, and I was like, Jesus, I figured out what's going on in his head. And I really felt it. I felt what it was like, and it was very illuminating to sort of see it from a different perspective. And it was a very interesting experience of how they saw the world, right? So that's something that that you can do as well. So see any kind of form of attack as a projection. And I know when you get caught off guard, it's really scary, and it can jolt you into reacting. But this is just something to be aware of, okay? Does anybody want me to do any dowsing about any of this? Has anyone got any questions? God, I've been talking for 31 minutes. Are you for real? Can't believe it. Oh, I wanted to show you. I've got these, Karina, who's sometimes in the chat. I'm not sure if she's in the chat. Well, she bought me a whole bunch of gifts, and she got me these beautiful shamanic healing cards, which I have not. They're oracle cards. I haven't even opened them yet, so let's I might have a shuffle of these beautiful little cards. I haven't even taken the seal off. 31 minutes of very interesting topics. That's great. Yeah. Oh, Kerry Ann Yana just got notified. I'm glad you even got notified. That's fantastic. Not many people. Oh, wow. These are, hang on. This way. So, Linda says, my sons talk to me. My sons don't talk to me anymore. I'm crazy in their mind. I'm just small them. Hi, darling, I love you. Cleavage. So yes, this idea of you being crazy, etc. So anytime we feel as though, Titi's asking me, you're attacked by your whole family, and will my kids come back to me? Okay, so this is what I was about to say, is anyone who has family that you're estranged from, these moments where you are estranged, use these times rather than dwelling on the fact that family should be together. So it's usually these stories that we tell ourselves of things should be this certain way, and why aren't they this way? That's usually when we feel the most hurt. And I think we need to let go of that and use this time apart from your family to really heal yourself, to empower yourself in this moment, and to see where you are as a person, to flesh yourself out as a fully formed person, you know, in spite of not being in touch with your family, okay? And then see where, you know, you could even ask them, what is it what is it in me that triggers you? And you may need to work on that yourself. Maybe not necessarily with them, but maybe you need to look at yourself as well, you know. So sometimes we can say, well, my family doesn't talk to me anymore. Well, maybe you hurt them and you don't know, and you need to find out what it is. So let me have a look. Let's go back to, I'm going to pull a card for TT. Will your kids come back to you? So this is the Shamanic Healing Oracle. Shamanic Healing Oracle. I'm just going to pull out one card for you, TT. This is the first time I've used these cards. And I'm going to pull out one card for you. Oh, they're still kind of stuck together. Changes. You've got a card that says changes on it. I'll just show you what it looks like. Can you see that? Looks like a swirly little circle, and the number is 29, so 29, 2 and 9 adds up to 11, so that's a big, massive, interesting. 2 and 9 is 11, that's a master number. So changes, like ripples from the smallest drop of water in a pond, the smallest of changes in one's life can bring about the greatest rewards. Think about changes you can make in your life. These do not have to be grand, sweeping changes. Judicious small changes can add up to life changes after time. Think about small changes you can make now that will add to your quality of life. Clean out clutter, commit to walking every night after dinner, cut out processed food from your life. Alternatively, big changes are coming your way. So I would say, the way I would interpret that, the changes thing, which was exactly what I was saying. Work on yourself, do these little things, start to look at yourself and see where it is that you might need to rectify some issues in your life that around relating or how you're communicating, and just doing bit by bit by bit. And I do see you sort of pottering around and doing your own thing and busying yourself in like the garden and things like that. And then I think what you need to do is then have a think about, how do I reach out to my family? And you may want to write them a letter. You may want to do something. Something will come to you as you're out in nature. Something will come to you around this. It doesn't have to be the way it used to be. And, you know, you could reach out and just see what happens from that. But some big changes are coming as well. Let's have a look. I'm going to go back down. Hey, Rio. How you going? Thank you. All right. Alice Gorgeous. I love that name. Alice Gorgeous. My parents have passed now. All I do is remember the awesome things and their funny little ways now, not the bad things. Exactly. That's exactly what we will remember. Anne Marie says, I did a wonderful healing session with harms that allowed me to cut the cords with my son. I recommend it. As you can see clearly, it is yourself having unmet expectations that is the main problem. Absolutely. Isn't that beautiful? That's a fantastic lesson. Hello, Mr. X. Colleagues at work think I'm crazy. They don't attack me anymore because they lose it and they don't have the energy to do it. I flip their energy. You're pretty powerful, actually. I remember when you came on one of my lives, and then they are frozen. Haha. As long as they think you're crazy, that's a good gauge to see where you stand. Yes. You just got to stand in your truth. It takes a lot to stand in that. I have to say, I've been pretty lucky to not be around people who are not like-minded, you know, and maybe I've had enough of them in my life and I didn't have to be around them all the time. So what is it that's triggering you? Here we go. We've got Angel Warrior SA Healing. Can you pick up any energy around my son? We have been estranged due to his father's interference. I'm so sorry. Okay. Angel Warrior, if you can, if you're still there, can you, is there anything else you can tell me? Like, are you able to give me how old he is? And even a first name? Of course, it's affected you deeply. Tracy Baines, happy Wednesday. Hello. Hang on a second. He's 25 and his name's Matthew. Okay. I'm getting this is stemming from a really old, I just heard unmet expectation from when he was a lot younger. And there was, but I've got like interference in, it's all these little niggling things, these old wounds that were never cleared up. And I see a boy at the age of about 10 to 12, around that time, witnessing something or feeling, you know, like in you as the mother, that there was something that was like an unmet expectation, or something that was you disappointed him in, or someone let him down quite badly around that time, and then that turned into like can't say it's a trigger for him, but it turned into this old wound that he just never let go of, okay? So it's part of that, and it's part of what's going on right now, this thing getting in his head. So I'll just see what card's coming out. I feel drawn to pull out, I'm going to pull out 3 cards for you about your son. Yeah, it's like the next 3 years. Okay. I feel like the next 3 years are major wound healing for you and him. Next 3 years. And also, is he, I feel like there's like a grandchild going to come in. So I'm not sure if he's, in the next 3 years, there's going to be a relationship where there's going to be a child with him. But I feel like there's a grandchild coming in if there isn't already, okay? Yeah, 10, when he was 10. I see him as a 10-year-old and just witnessing something and feeling like he was let down big time. Right, so the 3 cards are pulled out for you. One of them, the first one was psychic development. So this would be your own. I'm assuming you do healing, so where you're focusing on that, using these emotional wounds to then heal others. So the healer, heal thyself, right? Concept, and also old traumas. What you'll find in your clients is the things you're going through and the pain you're going through, you start to see clients that have those similar sort of things. The second card I pulled out was death, and usually that's an old part of ourself dying. This old, the things falling and crumbling. Everybody's going to start having this happen, okay? Again, when we talk about the light is coming, when the tree, gives me this message, the light is coming, you're not going to be able to run, you're not going to be able to run from this, God's light is coming. This light is this light of illumination. It's like a sweeping change. And what I felt in many sessions that I've had, I did it with Harm's session, where I felt this sweeping energy. It lights up the entire human race, and it's this stuff comes to the surface. What ends up coming to the surface, all of these wounds come to the surface. All of the old things that haven't been treated come to the surface. Everything comes up. This is why looking at all the 3D stuff, the external world and politics is not necessarily important. What's important is what's going on inside, okay? Because no matter what happens on the outside, if the whole world was healed of their inner wounds, everyone would be fantastic. It wouldn't matter if the price of petrol was really high. It wouldn't matter if there was no toilet paper on the shelves. It wouldn't matter if Biden was still in office. If we were all healed as human beings and we learned how to heal and speak to each other in a more whole way, and we were more whole and not wounded and not triggering each other all the time, if we were all doing the work on ourselves, this world will be fixed like that, okay? It'll be fixed like that. If we were prepared to fix these old wounds with one another and have these conversations, this world would be a better place. That's what we've got to work on. So these things are crumbling away, is what I'm saying. These old parts of ourselves are going to come crumbling away. And then the final card for you, where I've lost your name again, Angel Warrior. You work with children, do you? Self-love, okay? So if you can go back to that time where, I want you to think of this critically, okay? Because usually people tell me a story and they go, so-and-so, my ex is in my child's ear and they're ruining our relationship and blah, blah, blah. So, yes, there's that, but now let's look at where are you responsible, okay? And I want you to take ownership of this, and where am I responsible, and what part of me may have contributed to this estrangement, and if I can't rectify that with him directly, can I heal myself and forgive myself and give myself the self-love that I need? This is the self-love card, to heal this wound, okay? And if you're working with children, then I want you to return to that time where he was that age, and have a think about that and map that out. You know, that 10-year-old boy that needed the healing. If you can go back to that time and go back in these timelines and sort of heal that part, do all the things you can to heal yourself. I think Harms has some healing modalities to clear these old things. You can do things for yourself. You can go on little journeys for yourself to do this stuff, to clear these things. So even if the person isn't with you necessarily, you can still heal these things on other levels, in the astral. You can still heal these things with them on other levels, and cut ties or cut old contracts and old past traumas and things like that with them. But I do feel there's something about a grandchild coming through. It's over the next 3 years, because I see from the age of 25 to 28, there's something big happening, and this is the thing that's going to shift and bring him back. But it's a slow healing process. It's bit by bit. That's what I'm seeing. Does that help you in any way? Okay, so it just feels like that. Okay, Angel, I just feel like that. Next 3 years, yeah. Right, let's go back. I didn't see any of that chat, so sorry about that, guys. I'm going to go back and just read really quickly. If Angel, there you go. I have been working at keeping the communication going, but he is aloof. Yeah, I got that. I could feel this distance, and I'm trusting this will pass. I'm about healing through communication. Okay, so your way of healing is through communication, but his way may be that he has to stew and be quiet and silent and process things quietly. Okay, so that's the difference. This is the problem, right? You know, we think that he has to talk, and maybe the way he processes things is a bit different. Great, that's great that you work through it. I'm just having a look, and forgive myself, not painful anymore. Good, but still close to my heart. Okay. Right. Sorry, guys. I know there's been a lot of questions here. I'm just trying to get through. Okay, I'll do a quick card for Jackie N. When will my husband come around and be accepting of our next adventure? I am stepping into my life purpose, which requires a move and taking a huge leap of faith. My husband is very resistant to change. Yes, your husband's resistant to change because he feels safe where he is, and I'm feeling this sense of he doesn't want to step out into the unknown at all. Oops, one card just flew out as I said that. Ooh, this card says anger. Okay, so there's a lot of anger around this. What I get is that he feels as though the decision's been made for him and he's had no say in this. And what I see is a man who is quite cozy and comfortable where he is. And I'm not sure if you guys have been in the same spot or around the same area for like 20 years, but I've got this time frame of about 20 years, and I felt like, you know, it was fine and I don't need a change, and that kind of attitude. Okay, but the card that flew out was anger, so we need to have a look at that. Number 28. Okay, so 28, 2 and 8 is 10, and 10 is 1, so it's a brand new feeling. This might be suppressed anger in him, and he's not talking about the anger. Let's have a look. It says a very strong and primal emotion. Anger sometimes catches us by surprise. At other times it seethes just under the surface, simmering a long while until it boils over, scalding anyone who is close. Anger is based in fear. Fear of loss of control. So he feels like he doesn't have control. Fear of not being loved. Fear of being judged. Fear of not being enough. When anger enters your life, be it yours or someone else's, go beneath the surface and try to address the real fear that has triggered it. anger doesn't go away without addressing the underlying fear. Alternately, beware of someone's anger directed towards you. So, Jackie, is your husband angry? Let's have a look. I want to see if she's answering. She's not there. Hey, Craig, you're kicking ass over there. Jackie, are you there anymore? Right, so I do feel that, like I said, he's resistant to change because he feels as though the control is not in his hands anymore. That's what I'm feeling. Is he going to come round? I feel that all I keep seeing is like, do you know what I'm saying? I'm literally seeing like there's a dining chair and I'm like, he's like holding on to it, it's like, no, not going, right? And it's like, you're like, hey, let's go, come on, we're off doing this, let's move here. And he's just like, no, I like it here. And I feel as though, yeah, you've kind of, you've taken over and you've taken the choice out of his hands. I think in the past, perhaps he was happy with you making decisions about most things, because quite happy with the status quo. And it was a bit like, and I'm not saying this is what you're like, but this is an exaggerated version if you've ever watched Keeping Up Appearances, Richard and Hyacinth Bouquet. Richard's quite happy, you know, he looks miserable, but he's quite happy because he doesn't have to make decisions. She's doing everything for him, right? But then when push comes to shove, he's like, I'm not budging because you've made this comfy, cozy place for me. And now you're saying we've got to change this. I'm not changing. And so that's where the anger comes in, okay? And he's not wanting to let go of that because it's a loss of control. You need to meet him halfway is what I'm getting. Otherwise, you're going to, I heard parting of ways, okay? So I don't know what that means, whether it means you've got to agree to disagree or you've got to make decisions around making two different choices around this, where both of you get to have what you want. But I just feel like it's going to be a while. I don't think it's going to, I think you're going to have to change the next adventure. I think you're going to have to alter it a bit because I don't think he feels included in this, okay? I really don't. I think you have to both come to an agreement. You can't just say it's time to change. Yeah, that's what I'm getting anyway. Somebody asked a very interesting question. Are narcissistic people NPCs? Not necessarily. Let's have a think about this. This is a complex question. The word narcissistic has been overused, I think. I think sometimes people may have narcissistic traits, but they don't necessarily have narcissistic personality disorder. I like the words that Dr. Christiane Northrup uses, which is of energy vampire, okay? I think there are people who are energetic vampires, and those people, we could probably say some of those people might have some entity attached to them that's causing this vampiric sort of feeding. It might come from many past lives. It might be something that's attached in terms of like a disincarnate being. It might be an old wound. It's very hard to tell. You can't just automatically say that all people who have narcissistic traits or who are narcissists are NPCs. I think it is definitely, in this reality, the dark and the light work hand in hand, okay? It's just, it has to. It just has to. That if it wasn't for, it's not like they're a blight on this earth. I think they're part of this so that we can get triggered, okay, to do our thing. But it is also a very parasitic energy, isn't it? Because they really do feed off, they call it supply, okay? So in psychological terms, they need supply. They need the energy from people who are very empathic and who are very giving. And usually, like Christiane Northrup said, she said that most energy vampires tend to go for example, so a lot of women who are very successful, highly successful women, and very nurturing, very loving, me, hello, tend to attract these people, tend to attract these energy vampires, these men who sort of feed off their kindness and their nurturing sort of abilities and things like that. And so, and then they're not necessarily downtrodden people. They're usually quite successful. So they'll usually choose their victims very strategically, and it's a very vampiric sort of relationship. So I don't know. Maybe some are NPCs. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that. It's loosh, yeah, it is essentially loosh, exactly, but it's called supply. Karen, I asked was I am a Gemini with moon in Pisces. Me too. I'm a Gemini with a moon in Pisces. My grandson is also a May Gemini. Have a cousin as well. We all seem to struggle with grumpiness and everything it comes with. Got me curious. I missed your first part of your question, Karen. See if I can go back and find it. I can't. Hi, Graham. Great to be on my first live feed with you and many wonderful people. I feel I have a specific purpose of why I'm here and I am working on this. Do you feel I will complete my purpose? Yes, I do, Graham. Definitely see that. Hello, Tony. Ropes and Wings. How are you? NPC, Linda, 1111. An NPC is it's a term we use casually, colloquially, from the gaming sort of realm. You've got these in-player characters. So if you're playing a computer game with real, characters, like a live computer game, built into the computer is characters that are not. So they're called non-player characters, meaning that there's no one arming that character. Okay, so like if I'm playing a computer game and I'm a character, in the computer game, there's the computer program itself has built-in characters that play specific roles. So there might be a shopkeeper or a person with a map that's going to get you to the next place, but they don't have necessarily a soul or an operator. Okay, they're built into the computer. So there's a theory that in this realm, there are people in this world who are not real. They're kind of like, they're just built into the simulation, and they're kind of soulless, and they're usually there. Okay, so how do I put it? They're part of the hologram. And so sometimes you might have a neighbour that sort of just, you don't really see them, but they're just always there mowing their lawn, and then they go back inside and they disappear. And they don't really have a personality. And so the question was, are narcissists NPCs? Meaning, do they have a higher self? Do they have a soul? Or are they just part of this simulation? It's hard to tell, right? But Dolores Cannon did speak about these. I think she called them background people, and that came through in some hypnosis sessions. And I think there's a video of her talking at an event about these background people, and it's quite a complex sort of thing because it's holographic. This whole world is a simulation. Yeah, background people. That's exactly right, Dolores Cannon. It's exactly what it is. Everyone kept saying, is it background people? Yeah, background people. NPC. The first people I know that used that term was Chris and Cherie Geo from Beyond the Veil, but maybe other people have used it. It's become quite commonly something that's used. I used it a lot early on, NPC. Yeah. I'll just quickly go back and see if anyone answered. Kathy Taylor, there we go. Was it Kathy Taylor? No, I can't remember. Okay, I'm going to answer Dana because I saw her question a couple of times. Hi, Sister Leanne, love you too. Dana Domino. I have so much going on, asking what you're getting because I can't pick one thing. Okay. Well, maybe, I mean, this time of change and flux. What I would do, Dana, have a look at your birth date. I just pulled out the card that I pulled out before, which was changes for you. That just came out again, changes. Have a look at your date of birth, all right? So take your first, the day of your birth, the month of your birth, and then add it to this year, 2022. So 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. So add your date of birth, so bring it all down to one number, okay? And you'll get your cycle that you're in at this moment in this year, okay? So your date of birth, so your day and your month of birth plus this current year, and you'll get your cycle. So if you're in a 5-year cycle, that's usually a massive changes, a lot of changes, a lot of moving around, a lot of travel, a lot of chaos. But it's quite a lot of adventure as well, okay? So have a look at that. So the card that came out for you was changes. What I did see was, I was trying to tap into your energy, just quickly looking at you. Sorry. Go back again. What's 37? Oh, here we go. So, right. So we just add the 5 and the 10, which is 6. And we add it to this year, which is a 6, okay? So that's 12, when that breaks down to 1 plus 2 is 3. So you're in 3 years. So 3 years are usually great for networking, communication. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of, so communication is a great thing with the number 3 year. You'll find that it's actually quite enjoyable, an enjoyable year. What I did sort of see really quickly, just looking at you very briefly for your face, was that there was a lot of options going on. I don't know if you work in the fashion industry or something like that. I don't know what this is that I'm feeling, but it felt like there was many projects like all coming out of one thing, and many directions it could go in. Like it just, I don't know if there's many clients or something like that, but it felt like that. It was like lots and lots and lots of different directions in one space. But then you have all this other stuff. So what I would do is I would just break down everything and try to have some, slow things down a bit. But maybe you're at this, stage in the year where things have to be speeding up for the next stage, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you at all? I hope it does. Dana, I hope that makes sense to you. Right. See if there's any other questions. Anyone want any dowsing? We could do like a, we've been going for an hour now. Okay, so hang on. Christina, does 1 plus 8, why is it 1022? Wouldn't it be 2022? What year are you in? Are you in the Dark Ages? Christina. 1 plus 8 is 9. And 9, you add anything to 9, you get the same number. 9 is a mirror number. So add anything to 9. So 9 plus 6 is 15. What's 1 plus 5? It's 6. I added 6 to 9, I got 6. So it's a 6 year. You're in a 6 year. Okay, does that make sense? So you're going to have to look it up. So look up personal year cycles, or, you know, personal year cycles numerology. Right, Janelle. Hi, JC. Can you help me find what is blocking me from connecting with my higher self? And is that blockage the reason why, or reason my twin flame and I are not yet in union? So, how do you know you're blocked from your higher self? Your higher self is always there. It's that inner voice. It's that inner voice. Sometimes when you wake up in the morning and you're hearing chatter in your head, if you're tapped in enough, that could be your higher guidance. It's not necessarily the ego. A lot of people go, oh, well, that must be the ego mind chattering away. Not necessarily. Sometimes it's just knowing. The other thing, Janelle, is I would be starting to look at things that, anything to do with mindfulness, okay? Anything to do with mindfulness, of living in this moment, spending more time in nature, quietening the mind, spending more time alone, slowing things down in terms of the mind so that your monkey brain stops chattering. That's when you start to access these higher parts of yourself. Because it does take a bit of practice to get to that stage where you quieten enough and you trust that inner presence, and it starts to become, it's this natural communication that happens. But for most of us who are busy with the 3D world, busy listening to what's going on externally to us, we're not used to going within and accessing that inner part of us. But it's that part of you that is a knowing, and it's a presence. It's an overwhelming presence. It doesn't always talk. It's just a knowing, and it's very difficult to explain what the higher self is. What it's you. It's who you really are. It's yourself without the ego. It's what I would do is Janelle, I would why don't you book in for like a hypnosis session with someone? Because that's what the higher self is. When you go into deep hypnosis, you're accessing the unconscious mind, and the unconscious mind is the higher self. The unconscious mind is the self without the ego, and that's you, okay? And so maybe getting a hypnosis session might be one way to receive the voice of the higher self. Because to access that, so why can we access the unconscious mind in hypnosis? Because we're in deep relaxation, okay? So what does that tell you? When you're not relaxed, okay? So I can't dowse, I can't receive answers when I'm stressed, okay? When I'm nervous about something and I'm feeling scattered, if I try and dowse, I will not get answers. I won't. As psychic as I am, I won't get answers. Because I'm not in myself. I'm busy going, and I'm feeling really anxious about the answer that I want to get. Does that make sense? So it's about breathing, going quiet, practicing mindfulness. So anything to do with mindfulness will start to bring you back into yourself and accessing your higher self. I don't think it's necessarily so your twin flame, let's say you have a twin flame, not everybody does. I just want you to all understand this. Not all of you who have incarnated in this lifetime have a twin flame. I promise you, you don't all have one, okay? I'm telling you now, it is not a great thing. It's not like this fantastic, amazing thing, okay? Not all of you have one. Be thankful for that, okay? But what it is it's one soul incarnating twice in the same time frame, okay? That's all it is. One soul. So if it's one soul, the soul is your higher self, okay? So if you want to tap into that, you need to go within and you need to be more mindful, okay? But I wouldn't be focusing on the twin flame. I would be focusing on myself and mindfulness in order to get to that state, if that makes sense, okay? Good. So Linda, let's ask that. Let's use the dowels. Let's use the chart for that question. I think that's a really interesting question. Is there going to be a solar flash? I like that question. That's a good one. Let's ask that. I will pull one card for that. And what I'll do is I'm going to shuffle, pull one card out, but I won't look at it, and then I'll dowse, and then we'll look at the card, okay? Is there going to be a solar flash? I just saw a really funny comment. I'll do my pirate accent very soon. I just looked at the card. I'm going to pull out another card. I said I was going to look at the card and I looked at it. Okay. Is there going to be a solar flash? Right, not looking at it. And now let's do some dowsing. Now, prior to coming on, I was preparing. That's why I took a couple of minutes. I love that thing. My inner, where was it? So that's Celinda who asked that. Is it going to be a solar flash? My inner voice talks like a pirate. Arr, me hearties. Does it come from Cornwall? Does it, Leah Beachy? If I don't shut it down. It sounds like a pirate. That's very interesting. I like that. So Tony from Ropes and Wings says, your higher self always has your best interests and highest good for you, very loving and nurturing. Yes. All right, so the question is there going to be a solar flash? Everybody keeps talking about it. Not everyone knows what that is. Like if you spoke to an ordinary person on the street, they'll be like, what the fuck are you talking about? What? Flash dance? That's the 80s. Solar flash. Okay, here we go. So now I need to connect to my higher self, right? It's always there anyway, but I'm consciously saying it because I'm about to do some dowsing now in front of you. So ideally, I would not be in front of you with a thing with, you know, an electronic device in front of me while I'm dowsing, but I have that. So now I'm going to ask the question. So I ask through pure divine source creator in this moment to do some dowsing on behalf of the collective. And I'm going to ask through pure divine source creator for my presence of my higher self that is connected to source to communicate through me, through my pineal gland, into my central nervous system, which affects my hands so that I may receive the purest, truest answers without any bias or interference. I do not consent to any interference in this session from any external forces, any internal biases. And I ask this question on behalf of the collective. So be it. So this new thing that I'm doing now, I'm just going to touch my heart and keep, as a reminder, to focus on my connection to source, so that this is a pure message that is received. And we'd like to ask the question on behalf of the collective, will there be a solar flash in the near future? An event that says there is a solar flash. Will there be a solar flash? It's pointing to yes. Will we be aware of a solar flash event occurring in our lifetime? Will we be consciously aware of a solar flash event in our lifetime? F for Fred, F, L, A, sorry I'm not showing you, S, I'll have to move and then you'll see my cleavage and I don't want that, flash, okay, so F-L-A-S-H, flash, C, O, M, E, S, flash comes, I, N, in, A, U, G, U, S, T. Flash comes in August. I'm just going to check the year. Do you want to see what I'm doing? I'm kind of a bit hesitant about moving my camera in case you can't really see. I just see, look, I told you straight away you're going to see my cleavage. No, it's not going to move. Sorry about that, guys. Flash comes in August, it says, and I'm just going to ask what year. Well, let's just say, okay, because I kept getting reset in August, so this is saying Flash comes in August. Is this in 2022? Is the Flash the solar flash event happening in 2020. It says yes. Okay. Is it an actual celestial event in the sky? Is the solar flash an actual celestial event in the sky? It's pointing to yes, okay? Linda Lax, if you're listening to Ismail, sorry, my face says it all. Let's have a look. T O T O D A Y, today. M O R E, more. Today, more. P E O P L E, more people. Today, more people. T R I G G, yeah, well, this is what I was talking about. E R E D. I love it when my pendulum just starts spelling something without me asking a question. Today, more people triggered. Today, more people triggered. A S as M O R E as more. L I G H T as more light. I L L U M I N A T E S, illuminates. Today, more people triggered as more light illuminates. D A R K, dark. A S P E C T S, more dark aspects. O F of S E L F. So today, more people triggered as light illuminates dark aspects of self. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so we won't talk any more about that truther, okay? My face was enough. Just come on, people. You don't need to go on about it. So August, but by which calendar? Let's not. August. I live in the Western world. We use the Gregorian calendar, so it's Gregorian calendar August, this August. Okay, so let's not complicate this. And we're in 2022 according to what we feel, okay? So I personally, I think that if this event happens, I personally don't think we're going to remember it. I think what's going to happen is go back to my video I did with Harms. I just think that there's going to be a sweeping energy. It's God's energy. It's a force. It's a light within, and it comes from within. I don't just think it's a celestial thing. I think it's the light within us is activated. It's activated. We're leveling up. Okay. There was I did a hypnosis session with Thomas with the Soul Center Healing, and I did one with Tony as well, who's in the chat. I did a hypnosis session with Thomas, and in this session, like, he didn't even say anything about this. It's like my higher self is like, we're coming in, we're upgrading you. You're going to turn, you're having an upgrade right now, and you're going to become crystalline. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then Thomas was like taking me through this thing, because my higher self was just going, no, you're ready to upgrade. And I just think that this is what happens. I think that this is just a leveling up, and I think it's an illumination of what's already within us. And I think it's DNA, sort of, I don't know how it works, but the light, I'm sure Linda Good McGillis can probably explain it a lot better than I can. But it's light being it's activating us. It's activating our DNA, and it's a remembering and an awareness, an illumination. It's probably the next Renaissance, to be honest with you. It's light coming in. It's an illumination. It doesn't have to be a 3D thing. It doesn't have to be a sciencey thing or a celestial thing. It's God's force, right? Who said August 5th is your birthday? I mean, people were talking about certain dates. I mean, look at the astrology. Just go and look at some astrology. I would look at Vedic astrology personally, but have a look at that in August and see if there's anything that sort of makes sense to you. Maybe celestially, maybe something happens. Who knows? Right. I wasn't using tarot cards. Oh, yes, thank you. They're not tarot cards. Well, the card that came out, they're called Shamanic Healing Oracle. The card that we got was Honoring Your Energy. And look at the picture. Have a look at the picture. It's a big sun. This was a question about the solar flash, and this thing is growing. It's honoring your energy, right? Little seeds in the ground, and things are sprouting from the sun. The sun activates us. It activates our DNA. It brings in light codes. I think that if you just go back. I'm telling you, it's all answered there. The video that I did with Harms, it's got all these little timestamps in there. It's interesting stuff. There was some good stuff about that, and it's about basically the realms in which we live in, or the universe in which we live in, and it was like all the worlds you can imagine were all laid out, and our little section of our reality of God's creation was dark compared to the rest of it, okay? And it's like the light is coming, it's sweeping through, it's going to come into this dark spot, and they know it. They know that this light is coming, this illumination is coming, and they don't want it to come, because then they're going to be exposed, they're going to lose their hold on us, their grip on us, and that's pretty much what it means, I would say. All right, so let's read this really quickly. Honoring your energy. We all have those days when we are disinclined to do anything. We try all sorts of mental tricks to talk ourselves into doing what we should be doing. Me. Does this ever work? No. We end up feeling guilty, a very low vibration, for not getting anything done, which causes us to try twice as hard the next day, which causes us to get overwhelmed and exhausted, which then leads to becoming caught up in a vicious cycle. Your body has rhythms just as everything else on this earth does. Flowers, trees, plants, and the elements. The tides ebb and flow. The sun and moon rise and set. Animals hibernate and flowers grow dormant. You need to listen to the inherent cycles within you. Rest when you need to, work when you need to. Do not try to overthink the natural rhythms. Go easy on yourself and reserve judgment. You are your own harshest critic. Honouring your energy. I would say, personally, I don't know if that fits in with the solar flash, does it? But I think perhaps it goes from being dormant into a state of integrity. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's honouring your energy is about everyone starts to have more integrity about themselves when a flash comes through, I guess. Okay, let's see. We've been going for 1 hour and 25 minutes. Wow. Okay, let's have a look. Good morning, everyone. Okay. Sorry, guys, I'm just having a look. Hey, Kim, how you going? Good to see you. Right, I didn't know that, Magic. So Jason says Lionsgate starts July 25th. That may be why people have been irritated since Monday. I don't know, I haven't been irritated, but I've noticed people around me being irritated. I've just been feeling really like, I've got a lot of stuff to do and I don't know. I was just like that. I'm like, I don't want to do anything. Kind of in that stuck stage, you know, where you've got a lot of stuff to do, but you can't be bothered doing it. We're all changing and growing all the time, more and more. Our reality reflects these changes. That's right. Can your DNA be activated if you're not in the sun? Yeah, I would say so. We've still got light within us, right? Right. Okay. Sorry. Flash and cleavage in the same sentence. I love this. Shari says that may not fit with the solar flash, but it's the message I've needed for I've been in a bad place. Yeah, that card was good. Yeah, it's giving you questions. It's giving you answers, I guess, for the collective that everybody needed to hear. Oh, Emma, no sun still, even though it's summer over there. We had a really sunny few days actually here, even though it's winter. It's been lovely. Okay, any more dowsing we need to do? Shall we ask any more for the collective? Shannon, you asked this. That's a very interesting question. What was I anointed for in my dream? Usually when you're anointed, right, it's going into the crown chakra. They'll usually pour oil onto your crown chakra. So there's some kind of information that you're receiving there. Sometimes they might touch your third eye with oil. And the first thing I get is you're leveling up. You're leveling up in your awareness. There's so many things going on in our sleep state, and we're processing things on so many levels in many different, because there's so many different aspects of us, so many different multi-dimensional aspects of us that we're not even sure all this work that we're doing on these other levels. And I think that you've jumped a hurdle or you've reached a milestone, and that's probably what you were anointed for. Okay, and it might just be a personal growth thing. Okay, so something that you've been it might even be from lifetimes of say a program that you've been, or a thing that you've been trying to overcome. And it might have been just one little interaction that you did recently, and then that was it. You came and you succeeded at accomplishing that lesson, that life lesson, right? Okay, you were on a platform surrounded by children. Wow, interesting. Thank you, Peter. Wow, I'm the absolute best ever, JCK. That's great. Will the financial system crash soon? Well, depends on your perception. Do you remember when I said all things that were not necessarily are crumbling away, all things that are not true are going to start crumbling away? That's what you'll see. And so what you need to be aware of is that so what you need to be fostering right now is that all things that are not going to work need to fall away, and all things that are meant to be will remain, right? And you need to be okay regardless. You need to be okay if something falls away, and you need to be okay if things remain the same. Does that make sense? That's the whole purpose of personal development and personal growth and expansion. That's why I do the work I do. That's why Kyle Cease does the work he does. That's why people like, all these wonderful people out there that are about personal development and transformation. This is what we're trying to do, is armor you up and remind you of how to look after yourself regardless, and that's the most important thing. Well, I just pulled a card out for that financial question, and it says slow but steady. Okay, slow but steady. So let's read that. And it's a number 3 card. 3 is not necessarily a bad number for money, but 3. So 3 relates to communication. It's also, if you look in the zodiac, that is the Gemini aspect. So it's going to be, okay. So if there is going to be anything to do with changes with finances or the financial situation, it'll be a faster way of translating money, if that makes sense. A faster way of communicating with money and monetary systems. It'll have to be something innovative and new. And so this is where that whole crypto thing sort of comes in, I would say. That's probably what it is. It's a new system, computerized system. People talk about the quantum financial system. Let's see what happens. So slow but steady. Don't rush the situation. More often than not, divine timing and our timing are not the same. When you try to speed up a life experience, a relationship, or even a project, you circumvent necessary experiences or lessons along the way that will contribute to a perfect outcome. I'm just getting a sense. I'm getting a sense it's not as soon as people think it is. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm feeling. It's not as soon as people think it is. I know that they're trying to create a crash, as you can see with interest rates and things like that. They're trying to create that, but we need to manifest a higher timeline in order for that to, and I think this is why things take a bit more time than we think they do, right? Because there's all these, the attention from various sources is going in different directions. Does that make sense? So it's pulling on the outcome of what's manifested for the collective, if that makes sense. Okay, thanks, Dana Domino. The IRS will be gone. I do not consent. Okay, let's have a look. You like my beautiful necklace? Isn't it gorgeous? Sorry, it's stuck in my cleavage. Isn't it beautiful? It's a one-off thing. It's from a plate. It's an antique plate, and it's got silver on the outside. So there's a guy up here in Lura that makes these, and he sells. He gets different antique plates. So you get Wedgwood plates, or you get different antique plates. And this one is Limoges, France. That's a Renonce. I don't know what it says, but it's called the Lovers, he said. That's the Lovers. I just felt like wearing that today. Can I dowse? Is the solar flash and EBS happening at the same time? No. I'm just going to say no to that, but let's, not that no, I can dowse for that, but I'm going to say no to the EBS thing. I just don't think that's happening. I don't anymore. I really don't. I think that time has come and gone, and I think that they've taken a different tactic. I really do. But let's ask if people are still into that. So I'm going to ask, let's ask Daddy. Let's ask Daddy. Let's ask Big Daddy. I'm going to answer your question next about that, Nezzy Wildner. Is it normal to return from a journey with bruises? No, it's not. But I do know some people who do journeying and that's happened to them. They actually get properly wounded. So, Angel Warrior SA says, can you douse, is the solar flash and the EBS happening at the same time? Right. So, let's ask about EBS and let's ask about quantum financial system, since everybody keeps asking about it. We'll put this to rest after this. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to tap in again. So as I'm doing this, this is just reminding me to go into my heart space. And it's like a connection like this. It's like straight through the crown chakra from source and into my heart center and my heart space, okay? And I feel it. That's me. That's how I feel it. That's how I feel this. It reminds me that I'm more than me. It reminds me of my higher self. It reminds me of my pineal gland is this receiver of all the information that is, and all of you have this, all of you have it, okay? And it's like I have access to all that is and all that ever was. It's not outside of me, it's inside of me, but it's kind of it's a way of reminding me of that, okay? So that I know to access it not from my mind, as in my rational brain, but from something bigger than me, my physical body, okay, to access the information. And I do this to remind myself as a human that I'm receiving this information from pure divine source creator. And this information gets translated from my central nervous system into my hand. Is holding a pendulum that is then going to receive that information as little blips on the page that will spell out something, okay? So that's basically how it works. It's not an entity, it's not a spirit guide, it's not a ghost, it's not a demon, it's nothing. I'm talking to me, to source. I am talking to me. You do not ask, who am I speaking to? This is not a Ouija board. It's you. It's you, okay? It's just an objective way of receiving answers from you, the receiver of all that is, okay? I need to clarify that because most of you still don't get it, and you keep on going, oh, this entity attacked me. Why is an entity attacking you in your sacred space? You're not doing it right, and maybe you should not be doing it if that's what's happening to you. Okay, so I'll ask again, is so I asked for this question from a highest truth, from pure divine source creator. Now I ask this question humbly on behalf of the collective in regards to what is known as the EBS. I know there's a different word for it, but we're going to use the term EBS, Emergency Broadcasting System, and what that entails. We would like to know, is the solar flash event and the EBS connected? Is it going to occur at the same time? It immediately went to no. Immediately went to no. And will there be, along the lines of what is assumed to be an event like an emergency broadcasting system, where the whole world will learn the truth about what has been happening. Will this occur in our lifetime? Will this occur in our lifetime? T. Oh, I got really woozy just then. E. S. T. Test. Test. B. O. A. R. D. C. A. S. T. Test broadcast. F. O. R. 4. W. O. R. L. D. Test broadcast for world. L. I. V. E. Live. Test broadcast for world live. S. U. R. E. Sure. Sure. T. H. I. N. G. Sure thing. Test broadcast for world, sure thing. Hi, Linda Rose, how are you? So, that's interesting, isn't it? Test broadcast for world, sure thing. So I guess if you want to, if you want to put a bet on it, apparently it's going to happen. But is the, we can make all these assumptions all we like. I'm telling you, it's always going to change because where the collective places their focus, we're constantly creating this future. This is why this stuff is very difficult to pin down, because it keeps changing and shifting, and every time we focus on this thing and we have, or people get swayed in a different direction, something else is manifested. So this is why it's a bit difficult to sort of pin this down. And it's not a cop out. I'm not covering my ass here. This is just the way reality works, right? Let's have a look. I heard news of many employees of the US Treasury were arrested just the other day, and the people that filmed it had their phones detained and videos erased. Can you douse to confirm? I think I heard something like that too, or something about congressmen getting arrested. I don't know if that's the same thing that you saw, but I just think that more and more truth is going to be exposed, and I don't think it's going to come in like one big bang and then everyone is like, hey, we were right. I think it's just like the trickle effect. That's the whole purpose of this world is, we're going to be, we're not going to be hit all at once with the truth. It's going to have to come trickling in, just like it is right now. It's been happening for the last 2+ years, all of this truth coming through. So yeah. Let's see, any more questions? I'm probably going to, it's 1:44 now, 1 hour and 44 minutes. I might end it on 1:44:44. Maybe that's a good idea. Hey, Ornella, how are you? Good to see you from Canada. Intel Schmintel, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Helen Wilson. Drip, 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 flood. Maybe. Right. Well, maybe I should end it, hey? Was there some other question I was supposed to ask about the solar flash? Yeah. Listen, guys, I really think there's a lot of stuff that a year and a half ago we saw happening, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, what the fuck? Tom Hanks is alive? What? They've been playing with the fucking timelines. That's all I can say. There's something going on with that. I guess I should ask a question about timelines, but I've already covered it in my video with Harms. So, hey James, how are you? I like that, Zal. You said, are we in a holding pattern awaiting an event to occur? No, I think that we're manifesting an event, and because we keep focusing on the wrong things like the price of petrol and we keep we keep cycling into the lower timeline, we keep delaying everything, right? And this is what I'm saying, shift your focus away from that stuff and then we will get things moving. I think things are finally moving now, but people just keep getting pulled back into the Intel Schmintel, right? And let's see what else. Our focus changes the timelines. Exactly. So be careful of where you put your focus. Exactamundo. Hey, Rob Kirkhoff, how are you? We need to look up, not down. Right. Anything else you want to ask about? You wanted to know how to discern if you're infected with entities. Just be aware that we live in a parasitic realm. Now, you don't have to believe this, but there's been thousands of clients who've done these various hypnosis techniques, and there seems to be these things getting into our energetic field. And if Tony's still there, I mean, he can answer these questions, but pretty much everyone has something. And if it's not, like with me, it wasn't like I had things like hooked in, and I didn't have any disincarnate beings, I didn't have any AI, but I had like a residual thing from a past life that was very odd. It was a very strange thing. I'd love to share that video, but I just don't have enough time to edit it. I will soon, hopefully. There were things trying to get in, right? So, if you've got a pretty chaotic life and you're reacting and you don't know why you're reacting certain ways, or you're self-sabotaging, more than likely you've got something attached to you. I'll just put it that way. You've got also things coming in through technology. So with me, as I was doing the hypnosis, I had headphones in, and these little I was aware that there was something in my ears, from the headphones. It was in the headphones. And they're like these little things that kind of come through EMF and then the Wi-Fi. And it's something that the dark has put out there. They've been manifested and programmed to sort of create chaos and put little thoughts in our heads, this Watiko sort of thing going on. There were demonic beings that were sent. It was like behind me. I could feel it. It wasn't in the room, but it was, how do I put it? It was trying to get in to me, but it couldn't, and it was really angry about that. So that was something that was being sent by the dark. That was from the coven, right? So that was a black magic sort of thing. So these are the things that came up in my hypnosis session. So I would say most people have something affecting them. If for example, let's say an ex of yours is acting really weird, or there's some really strange perverted things. For example, let's say if somebody's had a trauma and they've got very perverted sexual sort of things, that's usually something is attached. Sometimes addictions, more than likely there is things attached. If there's an alcoholic, they've usually got more. I mean, according to Laura Whitworth, who developed soul center healing, she said there's usually more than one disincarnate alcoholic being attached to that person who's an alcoholic, making them, so every time the person wants to give up alcohol, this being is going, like it's actually a dead guy that was a drunk attached to the person, right? So where do people who are alcoholics hang out? Where do they go? Pubs. What's in a pub? Alcohol. What's also in a pub? Quite often you have pubs that are haunted, and there's like disincarnate beings and people with fractured auras, and so these things are very easily slipping in. So I would say just go with the premise that you're more than likely to have something attached, or influencing you in some way, if that makes sense. Will the flash cause power outages? I personally don't think it will, but I'll tell you what, we'll do one last question because everyone keeps asking about the solar flash. It did come up, if you've joined late, it did come up saying that it will happen in August, which I didn't expect it to say, but it did. Let's ask the question, will the collective remember a solar flash event if it occurs? Is it an actual physical event or is it a metaphor? That's the two questions we're going to ask, okay? The way I saw it in all of the things that I've done, and like I've done sessions with harms, I've done all these different things, that it's like an illumination, and it's like us bumping up to a higher timeline. It's a type of reset. It happens apparently all the time in our consciousness. It's consciousness frequency shift. That's what it is. It's a frequency shift. It's an activation of light within us, bumping us up to the next level. That's what I believe it is. And I think what happens is, as we bump up in our higher timeline, or in a higher frequency, in a higher awareness, we wake up in a new old reality, if that makes sense. And then, we start playing the game all over again, if that makes sense. So it's not necessarily a memory wipe, it's just a frequency shift. That's what I think anyway. But let's have a look. All right. So I started off talking about triggers, and you'll have to go back and watch the start of this. And let's ask this question. I'm sorry, so behind in the chat. Here we go. Is the solar flash connected to the photon belt? I think you're taking it too literally, but let's ask. Okay, let's ask, is a solar flash event an actual, literal, celestial event? Okay, like a celestial thing that we see. That's what I'm going to ask. So just tapping in again. So on behalf of the collective, through pure divine source creator, I ask for this following question. Is the solar flash that people speak of a physical event that is a celestial occurrence? Is this an actual physical event that we will see in the sky? It's saying yes. Okay. Now, will we see and witness a solar flash event across the entire world? Is this what will occur? Will it happen all over the world at the same time? S, U, N, sun, sun, O, U, T, out, P, O, U, R, S. outpours, LIGHT, light, AND, sun outpours light, and ACTIVATES, activates, SHIFT, shift. Sun outpours light and activates a shift. Okay, so I'm assuming this is a shift in the population of this world. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. And will we remember witnessing this celestial event known as the solar flash? Will we as a people remember the witnessing of this solar flash as an event? It's saying yes, which I thought before, I'm not sure if it said no, but it's saying yes. Yes, and now it's going to spell something. R E, it's just wiped my, I'm telling you, you know what it's done? It's just wiped my, the live now. It's just, what YouTube did was it made a glitch, and now the live chat's not going to be saved. So I just noticed that. REM, it's what it does. It makes a glitch in the recording, and then it's not going to save the chat. REMEMB. Remember, okay. Remember. Remember it, as. So we remember it as FLAS, flash. Okay, so we remember it as a flash. BUT, but. FORGET, but forget. DARK, but forget dark. ONES. We remember it as a flash, but we forget the dark ones. Does that mean that bad guys go bye-bye? Does that mean the bad guys bad guys go bye-bye. Oh my God, it says yes. Will the celestial war be won by the light? I got that this morning. I was talking to my tree. I was having a fag and talking to my tree. Just kidding. No, I wasn't. And she said, you've won, you've won, you've won. And I'm like, I've won? And she's like, the light has won. So it's saying, hang on, I just want to ask, does this mean that the parasitic realm, that is, the parasitic ones that have taken over our realm, will they cease to exist, or will they be in another version of the earth? F-A-R, far, far, I, in, far in, far in, V, oh hang on, far, in, V-O-L, V-E-D, far involved, that doesn't make sense, far involved, S-O-M-E, some are F-A-R, some are far, A-W-A-Y. Okay, I'm assuming that some are taken away. It's saying far away. It's not finding the right words. I mustn't be concentrating. So, and the concept isn't coming. It's a very strange concept because it's like a completely different thing beyond our experience. So will the dark still exist? Will they still exist? They have to, because it's a contrasting world that we live in. S-O-M-E, some are E-M-A-I-N, some remain. Okay, some remain. So there's some darker ones. So I'm assuming this means entities. So some dark entities will still remain after this solar flash event. Is that correct? Yes. There has to be, if you understand how this works and how this universe works, there has to be, because there has to be this contrast. There has to be that push-pull. There has to be. I'm assuming that that's what they mean. And also, if you know anything about when they do the that soul center healing hypnosis, a lot of these beings, they'll go to the light, right? So they may appear dark. This is they forgot that they're part of the light. So maybe that's also what it is. A lot of them will choose to go to the light, so there'll be less of them. And then the process is that we will, slowly illuminate these darker parts, if that makes sense. There has to be duality, exactly, Campbell. There has to be duality. This is the world we live in. Otherwise, we might as well just be ether. We might as well just be gas and part of the all. I think this 1,000 years of peace, I think it's just a metaphor. I don't necessarily think it's exactly 1,000 years. You know, I'm not going to talk about the jabs. I did say that the only two questions I was going to ask is this a literal thing? And then what was the other thing I was going to ask about this? Is it a metaphor? Is it a real thing? What causes the solar flash event to occur? I guess we could ask that. So I'll just double check. What is it that activates the solar flash event? I just heard in my head numerous things. So I think it's just everything sort of triangulating in one point. It's come up before many, many times that there are certain people that activate this light within us that have to come together, and it's like an activation. It sort of sets off this trigger event. So here's that word trigger again, and it sort of activates all the fractals in all these people all across the world. So it's the light within us being activated, and then apparently, this is what it's saying, it's also a celestial event. It's sort of, it has this, we can't just think of it as a science event. We've got to think of us as part of the all, and we're not just flesh bodies, that there is this other interdimensional aspects of us and higher dimensional aspects of us, and that the DNA is a code that gets activated, okay? Alice Gorgeous, do you remember that quote? If my lipstick triggers you, fuck off. Oh, God. Barbara Bracken says, is it a twin flame union? Yeah, it keeps coming up as that. And this is why I'm saying to you, there's not many of those, okay? You know, you keep saying about a photon belt. I just don't, I don't know. Could be. I don't know. We'll see. Anything else anyone want to know? No more questions about jabs, please. It doesn't matter. It was a means to an end. It did what it did. What was that? So Linda Rose says, I think it's true when they're no longer feeding off our orgasmic sexual energy. Right, so I guess we're heading for a higher illumination, a higher timeline. I wouldn't be worried about the external events like, is Biden being taken out of office? When's the Queen going to die? Is Tom Hanks really dead? Would you really care about that? If things are going to get better, does it matter? It doesn't matter to me. I mean, you know. Okay, all good. Gary Paris, how's my bread baking going? I've ceased the bread baking. Otherwise, I'll eat all the bread with all the butter in the world. Right, that's it. Okay, I'm not going to answer that question. George, you can. All right, I guess we're going to have to end this. Yeah. Number 24. Oh, wow, live. I never catch lives until now. I've been going for 2 hours and 8 minutes now, so you missed it. We're at the end now. Right. Oh, fuck. Is that... don't remind me, Matthew. Are you kidding me? I've got to still do second part of Antarctica video. Oh, fuck. Another thing I've got to add to my list of things. See, it just never ends. I've got so much work to do in the next couple of weeks. And I'm going to... Guys, I have this thing I've got to do. I've got to write this course stuff and get all this work done. And I'm not going to be available. So, you know, I just keep procrastinating and doing all these other things that I should be doing. Okay, but yeah, I mean, you're going to miss a few of my videos. I might do some videos. I won't be doing as many videos, but this is why I thought I'll do this live really quickly. Just don't do it. Okay, I won't. I'll just sit on my thumbs all day. All right, guys, we'll have to, you're going to have to go back and watch, but guess what? Guess what? They did a little glitch. I saw it. I saw it buffering, and then it went bang, and then that was it. they're going to, this live chat that we've got going here, I'm not going to be able to read it on the replay, because when YouTube does something where it cuts my live, it erases the whole chat. I'm just letting you know that, okay? All right, guys. Yeah, Gina, she was only just on a couple of days ago. I can't bring her back because she hasn't even. All these people are, I'll talk to Gigi in a little bit, okay? I talk to her every day, so I'll do some more in another. It glitched twice, did it? Yeah. I'll talk to Gigi another time. All right, guys. I'll see you guys later. Go back and watch this, but unfortunately, I think the chat has been erased. Check back in a few hours. Usually, if there is a live chat saved, YouTube don't put it on until a couple of hours later, okay? And we'll do another live in another week's time, I'm assuming. I wish I could save this somehow, but I can't. All right, I love you all, and I will see you later. Bye, and say hi to your mum for me. See you later.